We just locked them.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we had the keys and everything for it, so we just locked them in the jail cells. Well, while we're retrieving these weapons, my buddy Brown Jamie was running towards us to tell us that he had detained 2 guys that were walking around us.
And all these prisoners you took, you said they had weapons on them? Everyone had weapons?
The 4 or 5 were inside the police station.
Okay.
So they secured them and put them in the jail cell just so we could secure the site.
Okay.
And basically detained them, so we just had to watch on them.
Okay, I understand.
Well, they snatched up these 2 guys, and I come in to the compound, and my buddy Brown James telling me, like, as we're walking, like, hey, I detained 2 guys that were walking in front of the compound. They're just walking and, like, looking at Marines. So we detained them. Well, I asked him, like, where they at? He's like, oh, they're in a different jail cell. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So he takes me to this jail cell, and I pointed out one of them because he had the same dystacia that the insurgents that the recon team had killed.
Okay.
So I told him to isolate that guy and put him in a different room and hold on to him. Well,
he didn't have a weapon on him, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I did. I isolated him because he had the same dystacia as the guys from the surgeon's side. And I was, at this point, I have no terp, no nothing.
And you mean by terp, you mean interpreter?
Interpreter.
Okay.
So I get this guy and I rough him up for a little bit. And all he kept on saying is, Allah, Allah. Like, you could do whatever. I remember the saying, but he kept on waving his head and going like that and saying Allah. And he said other stuff, but I can't remember. At this point, after I roughed him up, like, this guy wasn't doing nothing, so I'm like, okay. I called up Lieutenant Watson. I'm like, hey sir, I got one guy that's has the dystacia. He's I think he's an insurgent. And he's like, okay, what do you want to do with him? Like, I wanna get a mobile section out here or a high back to detain him and take him back to our compound for further questions. He's like, okay.
You think he perhaps had some kind of training or something? I forget what they call it. It's in the Marine Corps, where like POW training, because you said he was apparently pretty.
He was pretty. Yeah, he had to have gone to interrogation school, seer school, and like top of the notch training for everything, because this guy wasn't bulging or doing nothing, like nothing flinching, nothing. Okay. And all he kept on saying was Allah.
And you say that because he just wasn't budging at all as far as answering your questions, or.
Yeah, like every time I ask him a question, he'll look up and wave his head and say, and point up and say Allah.
So why'd you say you believe he was top of the notch as far as? He just gave you the impression he was a strong-willed individual, or you received kind of some special training. I know you said he was you made the comment that he was top-notch or something to that effect.
To me, he seemed like not in a basic Iraqi where you start talking to him and they like talk to you back, or they try to make a conversation with you.
Okay.
This guy wasn't. He's straight up just pointing at his head and saying Allah.
Okay.
And like didn't really care if he died or not. So that's why I called Lieutenant Watson. I'm like, hey sir, I need to get this guy out of here.
Okay.
He's like, all right. So at this point, the high back gets up here, at the same time.
Oh, and this guy wasn't wearing shoes, right? He wasn't wearing the brand new.
No, he had taken off those brand new shoes.
Okay,
He
okay.
was running around barefooted, and no Iraqi walks around barefooted.
Okay. So he was bare. That's a good observation. That's kind of.
Yeah,
that's kind of.
Iraqis either walk in sandals or in shoes, or brand new shoes like the surgeons did.
He had the distasha, so he had part of the uniform, but however he's walking around barefooted, which you say Iraqis do not do. So apparently he just took his shoes off and
try to flee the scene.
Okay.
Also, the same thing I seen on the insurgents was this orange paint kind of in their hands.
Okay.
And this guy had it the same thing. It was orange, like painted on there.
Oh, paint or like a dye or something?
Like a dye, and I tried to scrub it off his hands and it wasn't coming off.
Okay. That was another part of their uniform.
Yes, like I was trying to scrub it with my fingers and try to take some of it off and nothing.
Okay.
So
oh, well that's good. Thank you for sharing that with us.
The same time when they took this detainee to our firm base, same time the recon team was getting geared up to go clear out the mosque with one of the squads from across the street. I forget what squad it was, first or second. I can't remember. Well, I was overwatch for the recon team to bump across to the southern portion of Market. At this point, they linked up with the other squad, and we're telling the CP that we're going into the mosque at this time. They're like, okay, we already approved you guys to go in there, so go clear it out. Well, one of the recon guys went in first, kicked the door open, and it was booby trapped. It sounded like a big bang, but the same sense, they're rushing in there to the mosque, and that was the only thing you heard was a big boom. And the next thing you hear over the radio is the mosque is secure.
Okay, so even though there was a booby trap and there was an explosion, apparently the recon marine wasn't injured.
Nobody was injured from that big boom. And so we started asking, like, what was that? Did she throw something in there? Like, no. The door was booby trapped. Like, okay, how is that? Like,
do you have suspicions that perhaps maybe they threw like a flashbang or a grenade in before they cleared the room? Or
I don't think, no suspicion. It was just because I could see them kicking in the door and that boom went off.
Oh, okay. So you actually saw the recon marine kick the door, you heard the explosion, and they went in and cleared it within a few minutes?
Yeah, with a few minutes, because they had the recon guys and then they had that other squad with them. So they cleared it out pretty quickly.
Okay. And the other squad was another squad from the platoon, or was there another?
From our platoon.
Okay. What squad was that? Oh, you said you didn't remember.
Yeah, I didn't remember. It was the first or second.
Okay.
Then at this point, all we're hearing is gunfire to the east. Well, Lieutenant Watson gets a call and he's like, you need to come and reinforce weapons platoon, which was led by Lieutenant Carroll.
That's Lieutenant Carroll. Okay.
Lieutenant Carroll. So at that point, we started. I bumped across Market, went south of Market, went into the Bath Party headquarters with the rest of the platoon. Well, at this point, first squad had found RPGs at the Bath Party headquarters. So, and they found I want to say a mortar tube.
Okay. You said RPGs within the launchers and the rockets, or just rockets?
Both.
Okay.
Well, at that point, the Santas were still staged at East and.
What was that, sir?
The